Hi, I'm Femi OK, and you're in the stream.
I'm Malika Bilal. Today, protests and threats have halted the release of the Bollywood film Padmavati.
So what is the film about, and why is it upsetting so many people? You're about to find out. The Hindi film Padmavati is swirling in controversy, so much so that its release in India has been postponed and its international debut left uncertain. The film, set in the 14th century, tells the story of a Muslim sultan who attacks a kingdom in an attempt to capture a beautiful Hindu queen. Critics say the film disrespects the sentiments of the Rajput caste, and while some members of the Rajput community have taken to the streets to protest, others have chosen more violent methods.
And despite historians pointing out that the queen portrayed in the film is a fictional character, some Rajput groups have been using their political capital to block the movie, which in turn is raising concerns about growing censorship in India. Well, here to talk about this, we have in Mumbai, Raja Sen, a film critic and author. In Chennai, independent filmmaker, actor and activist Vaishnavi Sundar.
In New Delhi, Pankaj Jha, he's an associate professor of history at the University of Delhi, whose background is in Hindi literature of medieval India. And in the United States, Sanjay Singh, president of the Rajput Association of North America. Hello, everybody. Good to see you. I know you haven't seen the film yet. Most of India hasn't seen the film yet. Most of our international audience haven't seen it yet. So let me show you a little clip. It's a dance number that was released early. It's called Guma. Have a look, have a listen. Raja, this film looks stunning. I mean, we've only got about 6 minutes of it to go on, but so far it looks amazing. What is the main reason that this is a huge conversation in India right now?
Well, I think India is very quick to outrage about pretty much anything at this point of time. There are all these fringe groups that come in and claim pretty much anything being done in the public domain hurts their sentiments. And since this is hard to quantify, and since the reigning government is not really doing anything to quell their outrage, these people are becoming more and more dangerous. So at this point, there are, based on, as you said, a fictional queen, various fringe groups are saying that the queen is being disrespected in this film. And they want the filmmaker's head on a platter. They have announced bounties on the actress's nose. And they say the leading man's legs should be broken. And this is all being said while the government is in power and doing nothing about it. In fact, ministers from the reigning party, the BJP, have actually gone on record to say these things.
Sanjay?
Raja, totally wrong that this is a fictional character. We have history supporting it. And let me tell you, we made the history by making sacrifices of our lives, by bleeding. And now movie makers and critics like you come in, sitting and analyzing things, that this is the fringe group. You cannot play with the sentiments of the people. There is a way to handle these things. Mr. Bansali should have consulted when he did promise that he is going to at least pre-screen with the Karni Sena. There should have been some understanding. Instead, what he chose to get some journalists without our involvement. And let me tell you, it is not about Rani Padmini, it is about women, their respect and justice to the womankind. We can't let a Rani, who is so much respected in a community, and not respect her and glorify Alauddin Khilji, who I compare him to one of the terrorists, just like 9/11 terrorists. You glorify them 100 years, 2 years from now.
Mr. Sanjay, may I interrupt you? I've been listening to both Raja and you. I must add that first to Raja, that I don't think it's arbitrary who gets hurt and who gets outraged pretty much by everything. No, there is a pattern to it. And as a
Sure.
student of history, I see this pattern rather in a, it's pretty disconcerting, because you would notice that actually uh, the more powerful a community, the more easily they get hurt, and the more easily they get their hurt and outrage to be heard. Now, let's get this clear at the outset, that we are here discussing and trying to defend what might turn out to be a second-rate film, in spite of all the excitement that the controversy has generated. But let's also get
Absolutely.
this clear that here is a powerful, as Mr. Sanjay Singh made clear, here is a very powerful minority which is actually talking about, protesting the film in the name of the idea that Padmini is a historical character. Now, in the context of medieval Indian history, there is so much that we don't know, that one can never be sure about who is historical and who is fictional. But one does know that what the Queen Padmini has come to stand in for, as far as the Rajput community and what, as far as the other communities are concerned. And the most interesting thing is, I'm glad Mr. Sanjay Singh pointed it out in the very beginning, that they are protesting in the name of the honor of women. Now, I'm a little amused by this fact, because it would be a truism and an understatement to say that the medieval Indian communities, Rajputs included, were even more patriarchal than we are today.
So Pankaj, I
And
hear your
also-
point there, and I see Vaishnavi smiling there as the sole woman on this panel. But I want to bring in two comments and then go to you, Vaishnavi. So one person might agree with Sanjay, who spoke a little earlier. This is Mayank on Twitter, who said, our culture, our faiths, our beliefs, emotions, our history cannot be denied, distorted, dramatized, or played with. Filmmakers can very well make money of and be creative about something else. But this is a point from someone else. This is Fatima Ansari on Twitter, and she says, she chalks this up to Hindu nationalists. She says, the way their minds work, they're unable to differentiate between reality and myth. They see Padmavati as a personification of core Hindu beliefs, which adds some value to her fictitious character and that those things are violated when a non-Hindu emperor approaches her. But Vaishnavi, as other people have pointed out, this scene that people are upset about, an approach or a romantic scene, some have alleged, is not actually even in the film.
Yep, it is not. And the outrage seems a bit amusing, in the sense that in India, we celebrate hypocrisy and irony quite a bit. So on the one side, we glorify cows, and on the other side, we claim women to be gods and goddesses. And at the same time, in the same state as Rajasthan, there is the last recorded data was in the year 2015. The amount of rapes of Dalit women were up to beyond 3,000. So this was just in that 1 year. So I fail to understand the outrage about wanting to maintain the modesty of a woman being the modus operandi of the protests. It seems a bit amusing to me, if not, disillusioned. And also to add to the fact that the whole glorification of Rani Padmavati being the fact that she was chaste and that she killed herself in the end in order to safeguard her chastity and all of that seems in 2017 quite a bit of a funny situation to outrage about, to be honest.
Let me just.
Where on the one side.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Vaishnavi, please continue. Please finish.
Vaishnavi,
Vaishnavi, I just
So where on the
want
one side-
Vaishnavi to finish her
Vaishnavi.
sentence. Go ahead.
Yeah.
glorification of
where
cows.
on the one side we are denied basic rights, human rights of right to abortion, where marital rape is still not made illegal, where child rape is on the rise, and where all these issues concern the state of Rajasthan quite a bit. I find it very disconcerting that just because this particular community of Rajputs are finding this to be a personal issue and taking this to be a matter of concern in a way that the state is interfering with the art and cultures of a country, which
Okay.
it should not, because it should be two different entities.
All right, let me just play, guess, a little clip, and this is from the director, Sanjay Leela Bhansali, and he was ready for the criticism, and it also looked like he had anticipated it as he was making the film. Have a listen to what he had to say.
हमने इस फिल्म को बहुत जिम्मेदारी से बनाया है, राजपूत मान और मर्यादा का ख्याल रखा है, और एक बार फिर से मैं दोहरा रहा हूँ कि हमारी फिल्म में रानी पद्मावती और अलाउद्दीन खिलजी के बीच कोई ड्रीम सीक्वेंस नहीं है, कोई ऐसा सीन नहीं है जो किसी को भी तकलीफ दे। धन्यवाद।
So Sanjay, what is fascinating here is that the reason that this has blown up so much is because there was a local member of the BJP as a political party, the major ruling party in India, who said, I am so upset, I'm offering the equivalent of $1.5 million for the head of the director and the lead actress in this film. What kind of situation could you justify that even being said in public, Sanjay?
First, I'd like to comment to Vaishnavi, these kind of irresponsible statement and outrageous statement comparing Jauhar, self-immolation, that we highly respect, is the reason that sentiments are not being cared about. Talking about glorification of
you
cows,
highly respect
talking about
self-immolation.
no. You
I
are
guess
not
let me just interject and say the reason why this came up, the idea of a widow burning herself when her husband dies, is because that is, spoiler alert, what happened to Queen Padmini. Let me just move on a little bit. Malika, where do you want to take us?
Well, you mentioned the threats there. Fareed on Twitter says, for peace to reign, please, they should stop promoting this movie immediately. They've already threatened to burn down any cinema that shows the film, and there's a bounty on the head of the lead actress. As you mentioned, Femi, though the person who made that bounty now denies that he said that. But I actually like to go to a video comment from someone who says all of these threats, all of these comments could have been avoided. Here's Risha.
All the protests and all the things that have been said and done could have been easily avoided if the producer-director had just come forward and, at the very beginning, set the record straight, would have clarified the doubts. But the other thing is that when it comes to artistic liberty and freedom, all freedoms and liberties come with a certain amount of responsibility, which I think the producer-director needs to keep in mind when he's making a movie based on a historical figure.
Raja, what do you make of that comment?
Well, I think this is a big misconception. I think everyone's going on about how Mr. Bhansali should have clarified it. Mr. Sanjay said, why didn't he show it to us first instead of showing it to a couple of journalists? But the fact of the matter is that Mr. Bhansali does not owe these people a screening. At this point, a fringe group which is threatening to be violent and burn down cinemas does not is not someone we should be, as filmmakers or as a community, we should be negotiating with. As they say, we should not negotiate with terrorists. This is exactly the same situation. Just because these people are threatening to strong arm the situation does not mean we owe them, any sort of pacification.
Vaishnavi, what were you about to say? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to add to what Raja said. The state must not interfere with the art and culture of the country because historically India has been pretty upfront about questioning, condemning the political situation or anything that is a matter of concern at that point in time. Now, audiovisual medium being the most powerful medium which reaches so many people at the same time internationally, to put a check on something because it concerns a small section of this country is a bit alarming because it comes as a matter of you putting a check on me as an artist, you putting a check on me as a democratic citizen of the country.
Raja and Vaishnavi, we don't need to be
Yes,
pacified. We are not looking for pacification, but we have right to protest.
But you are looking for Deepika Padukone's
sentiments.
No, that is a scary thing.
Let me tell you, I condemn those kind of statements. Personally, I condemn it. And being a member of Rajput Association of North America, I want to also thank all the members who are listening to us. And I will also like them to go and log to rajputra.org and enroll them as new members. And I'm pleased to announce that we have increasing number of enrollment.
Sanjay, I will
last
stop you here. We
May I
don't
chip
have
in
adverts
here,
on Al Jazeera, but
may
I
I chip
will
in
stop
here?
everybody.
Question.
Hold tight for a moment. I just want to play another clip, because again, we're talking about a film that people haven't seen that much of. So this is a little section of the film. Sanjay was talking about the Rajput community. It's a little section of the film which tells you a little bit about Rajput society. Have a look.
चिंता को तलवार की नोक पे रखे वो राजपूत, रेत की नाव लेकर समंदर से शर्त लगाए वो राजपूत, और जिसका सर कटे फिर भी धड़ दुश्मन से लड़ता रहे वो राजपूत।
Pankaj, as a historian, is there anything that you've seen so far out of the 6 minutes of the film that's been available that you feel would upset the sensibilities of the Rajput community as a historian?
As a historian, I'm particularly not concerned about the sensibility of a powerful minority community, which gets to voice its identity only in an extremely patriarchal, male, condescending voice, and claims to protect the honor of a woman. So seriously, I do believe, however, that there are quite a few confusions being created here in the name of history. First of all, I want to make it clear that there is no conflict here between history and mythology by itself. Mythologies also have histories, but the more important thing is that more than being histories of rajas and kings and ruling groups, when Mr. Sanjay, for example, says that we have sacrificed and we have spilled blood and so on, basically he's self-referencing to the Rajput community as a ruling community. Let's make it very clear, even in the state of Rajasthan, Rajputs are in a minority. And the largest majority of even the Rajputs are pretty ordinary, regular, middle-class families now as well as then. There are very few, there were few families who were ruling houses. The second thing is that mythologies have histories too, as do other things, more important things like gender and caste. And what we should be talking about here actually is not the movie, because nobody has seen it, and whatever little we have seen it, if you ask me, the only thing that bothers me in this film is the kind of glorification of a very, very virile, very regressive kind of masculinity, as well as a very binary juxtaposition of Hindu and Muslim community, where the audience is exhorted to identify with either this side or that side. I would beg to differ. Historically, this is not how it used to be. Right. The fault lines never was between Muslim rulers and Hindu rulers, as many people would like to believe. The fault lines then as now used to be between genders, between castes, and between rulers and ruled.
But Pankaj, as you point out, you're basing it, you're basing this, Sanjay, if I may, you're basing this on just a few moments of a trailer, and of course, the bits that are cut together a trailer don't necessarily match the narrative of a film, as we all know. Malika.
I want to give two perspectives here about people who think that the government needs to weigh in here. This is Mr. Bengali watching us live on YouTube. He says, I don't know who gave the permission to make these movies using these types of sensitive issues. There should be government restriction. On the other hand, someone else on Twitter says, this has gone way too far. It has to stop. The government has to do something, but they won't, because how are they going to win the Gujarat elections? So this person is saying there might be political motivations behind this. Sanjay, what do you make of that?
Like politicians are always, they will come behind it. But let me tell you, as a proud member of a Rajput community and as a proud member of Rajput Association of North America, we have nothing to do with politics. We are here to preserve our heritage and be represented in a right way.
Mr. Sanjay.
And Pankaj, one more point I had to Pankaj, talking about history and myth. Let's not forget, I think I read your article about cultural memory. Let me tell you, I have a lot of cultural memory growing up in a small village, Nawadaben in Ara in Bihar, that historian may not know. Historians are very quick to point to anything as myth because they can't do their homework. So
Mr.
I'll
Sanjay,
go ahead.
I have a simple
Historians do their
question
homework,
for you
but
here.
historians also are bound to do research. Historians also have villages and they also have cultural memories, except that they are sensitive to the fact that cultural memories are always in plural. There is never a single cultural memory. Whose cultural memory we get to discuss 24/7 on national and international media is a different point. And that is where I think, we should all remember that almost more than a year ago, a small town here, Gurgaon, was renamed Gurugram in the memory of a figure, an epic figure, who was responsible for taking the finger of one of his Dalit.
Why is this relevant to this discussion?
It's not relevant. Right
It's
now.
not
But
relevant. All right, just
Mr.
checking.
Sanjay, I have one
Done
question.
by
Give me a moment.
James Todd.
Everybody hold tight for a moment. Let's get us back on track here. Let me show you this headline. Padmavati controversy. BJP leader Mr. Amu, who announced the bounty on the film's team, steps down as party media coordinator. Let's go back to the political situation in India that may well impact what's been happening to this film that doesn't have a release date yet because it's had to be moved back. Vaishnavi, can you help us understand the bigger political climate?
I thought you'd never ask. So just touching upon the tweet that was shown in the end about the forthcoming elections. Now, the present ruling party and the 3 states that have very forthcomingly condemned the film are Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, and Rajasthan, all 3 of which are presently being ruled by the ruling party of BJP. Now, as far the elections are concerned, we have been an audience of...
What about Punjab? What about Punjab?
Excuse me, let me finish, please, if it's
Punjab.
okay.
No.
So,
Punjab
about the
is
elections...
not ruled by BJP. Is Punjab ruled by BJP?
Right. If you'd let me complete it, maybe...
Mr. Sanjay,
let me get to
and
the...
Vaishnavi, I only have a few moments left. I really want to understand Vaishnavi's take on whether this film and the controversy with the film, is it connected to what's happening politically in India?
Yes, so I believe that there is some kind of a subversion or a distraction tactic that the BJP often employs when it comes to addressing the elephant in the room. Whenever there is a big crisis situation that is going on in the country, at the moment it's about the GST, that is like a huge tax that's been levied on all the citizens without any forethought, without any consideration to people belonging to the bottom of the pyramid, and about the demonetization that just struck us like hell in the past. We're still recovering from it. I believe that all the ruling party does right now is a subversion tactic, is a distraction tactic to sort of not make the common person look at the elephant in the room and question them and condemn them, because if we do that, that would affect their credibility in the forthcoming election. And one more thing, what this film also does is it easily polarizes Hindus and Muslims in such ludicrous, simple sort of a binary situation, which is absurd because we are a country who claim to be secular and culturally diverse and so on. So
it's
to
not
just
the
point
political
out
party
that
doing
the
this.
Hindu-Muslim
It is we
issue
who are
is the
doing
one issue that is
the moment you
polarizing
talk about glorification of cows, you split the people.
So guess you're talking over each other. Vaishnavi, I'm going to give you one sentence to finish up.
Yes.
One sentence.
So therefore, if you are not supporting the Hindu extremism, you are branded anti-national, and therefore your life could have...
All right, let me show this. Let me show this to Raja. Guess we're at the end of the show. Let me show this to Raja. Times now. Supreme Court has ruled in favour of Padmavati, says the fringe can't block the release, but the film doesn't have a release date yet. Raja, knowing the film industry in India, knowing how the border censors work, what do you feel is the future for this film?
Well, it's a little uncertain right now. I feel like, as Vaishnavi suggested, that the film will not be allowed to be screened before the elections are over. After the elections are over, it will become relatively amicable, even though the film will have lost money in the process, but the film will be allowed.
All right.
I have one question, though, for Mr. Sanjay.
And I'm going to ask you to ask that question online because we're right at the very end of the show. I know it's infuriating. I want to know what that question is too. Malika.
Someone that would agree with you, Raj. This is someone on Twitter who says, I have full faith that this movie will release after the elections, which is over, on January 18th, 2018. Something to look forward to.
And I will leave you with a little bit of the trailer of Padmavati. We've been talking about it all the way through this program. Let me leave you with a little clip. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care.